In the quiet of the forest, the Buddha sat beneath a Bodhi tree, surrounded by his disciples. A young man approached him, his face etched with sorrow and confusion. "Master," he began, his voice trembling, "why does life feel so unfair? Why do some suffer while others thrive effortlessly?" The Buddha regarded the man with compassion and gestured for him to sit. "Tell me, young one," Buddha said, "what troubles your heart most deeply?" The man lowered his gaze and said, "I work tirelessly, yet misfortune clings to me like a shadow." "Master," I began, my voice wavering, "I feel trapped by my own doubts." The Buddha paused, turning to me with a gentle smile. "Karma is a force beyond this single life. It is the thread weaving existence." He paused, looking at the man. "To understand your suffering, you must first understand the seeds you have sown." The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf and held it before the group. "This leaf," he said, "did not appear without cause. It grew from a tree, which grew from a seed." I nodded, puzzled by his question. "The river carves its path through the land, facing rocks and fallen branches," he began. "But, Master," he asked, "how do I change the fruits of my suffering? How do I escape my fate?" Buddha placed the leaf gently on the ground and said, "The present moment is your garden. Young one, you may plant seeds of bitterness or seeds of peace." He then told a story of a farmer burdened with a field of bitter gourds. The farmer lamented the taste of his harvest. Cursing the skies, Buddha explained, but he did not understand the gourds were born of seeds he had planted himself. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead as the disciples listened. If the farmer wished for sweetness, Buddha continued, he must begin anew, planting seeds of sweetness with care and diligence. The young man nodded slowly, absorbing the parable. "This seed holds within it the potential to become a mighty tree," he explained. "Yet it starts so small and fragile. See this tree?" Buddha asked. "Once it was a mere sapling, but through care, it flourished. So too shall you flourish if you nurture virtuous actions." A disciple raised his hand and asked, "Master, what of those who seem blessed despite their harmful ways?" Buddha smiled and said, "Their blessings are fruits of seeds sown in the distant past, but their new actions will bear future consequences." The assembly murmured in understanding as the Buddha spoke of the intricate web of cause and effect. "Karma is not a simple ledger," he said. "It is the harmony of countless threads woven through lifetimes." I stared at the seed in my hand, its simplicity belying its profound lesson. "But Master," I asked, "how do I find the strength to persist when fear clouds my mind?" The Buddha placed his hand gently on my shoulder. "Nurture them with love, compassion, and mindfulness." He gestured to the assembly and said, "Speak words that heal, not harm. Perform actions that uplift others. These are your seeds." The Buddha gestured towards the horizon, where the sun was beginning its descent. "Do you see the sun as it sets?" he asked. "Focus on the present, for it is fertile." He told a story of a traveler carrying a sack of stones, growing weary with every step. The traveler realized his burden only when he chose to set the sack down. Buddha explained, "So too, young one," he said, "release your burdens of regret and resentment. Plant new seeds with a light heart." The young man bowed deeply, gratitude evident in his expression. "Master," he said, "I will strive to sow kindness and wisdom in my thoughts, words, and deeds." The forest seemed to hold its breath as the Buddha concluded his teaching. "Remember," he said, "life's fairness is not measured by ease or hardship but by the harmony of one's actions and intentions." The young man rose and walked away with newfound purpose, the Buddha's words echoing in his heart. The Buddha smiled, rising to his feet with graceful ease. "Come," he said, gesturing for me to follow. "My children," he said, "the path of karma is not a punishment but an opportunity. Embrace it with love and understanding." The fear of failure had not vanished, but it no longer controlled me. I carried the seed in my hand, a tangible reminder of the possibilities within. In the quiet of the forest, the Buddha continued his meditation, a beacon of light for all who sought the truth. Another day, another lesson unfolded under the great Bodhi tree, where the Buddha rested amidst the hum of nature. A young woman approached him, her steps heavy with despair, her face shadowed by worry. "Master," she began, "I have lived with kindness and generosity, yet my life remains riddled with suffering. Why is this so?" The Buddha regarded her with gentle compassion and gestured for her to sit. "Tell me, child," Buddha said, "what troubles your heart most deeply?" The woman hesitated before speaking. "I have cared for the poor, nurtured the sick, and given freely to others. Yet misfortune follows me relentlessly." Birds sang melodious tunes, their songs mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. "I carried an alms bowl, a humble vessel of sustenance, bestowed to me by the Master. The fruits of our actions may ripen in ways unseen." He paused, observing the young woman with empathy. "To understand your suffering, you must first understand the web of causes that envelop life." He picked up a handful of soil and held it before the group. "This soil," Buddha said, "nurtures a tree whose roots extend far beyond what the eye perceives. Life's hardships are like the roots of this tree, hidden but vital to its growth." The woman lowered her gaze, her sorrow easing slightly. "Master," she asked, "how can I find peace amidst the suffering that seems unjust?" Buddha gently scattered the soil onto the earth. "Begin by nurturing the roots of your thoughts, words, and deeds," he said. "Through love and compassion, you create harmony." He recounted the story of a lotus flower blooming in muddy waters. "The lotus does not despair at the mud," Buddha explained. "Instead, it draws strength from it to reach for the sun." A subtle breeze carried the scent of blossoms as the disciples listened intently. "Your suffering," Buddha continued, "may arise from actions long past, but your virtues today are not wasted. They are seeds of future joy. Its purpose has not ended. It continues to reflect the light," he said, his words a balm to my wounded spirit. "But Master, the bowl can no longer hold water. Its original purpose shattered," I argued, still burdened by guilt. He motioned to a patch of wildflowers blooming nearby. "See these flowers?" Buddha asked. "They thrive because the soil was nurtured, the sunlight embraced. So too shall your virtues bloom." It flows onward, adapting, finding new ways to reach the ocean, undeterred by obstacles. His metaphor painted a vivid picture in my mind, the river's ceaseless journey mirroring life's ever-changing nature. "But their cruelty today sows a future of suffering," the assembly murmured in agreement. The complexity of karma becoming clearer. "Karma," Buddha said, "is not a simple balance of rewards and punishments. It is the unfolding of causes across lifetimes." The bowl's breaking was not an end, but an opportunity to learn about care, focus, and letting go, he explained. His perspective turned the fragments of my shame into stepping stones toward understanding and growth. "Let your intentions and actions be mindful." He gestured to the gathering and said, "Speak words that uplift, perform deeds that heal, and cultivate thoughts rooted in compassion. These are your seeds." The disciples nodded, their hearts absorbing the teachings like rain nourishing parched earth. "Let the past inform you, but not define you," he said with quiet conviction. The river's song seemed to harmonize with his words, a melody of flow, resilience, and renewal. He told the story of a traveler burdened by regret, who found peace by embracing forgiveness and planting kindness. The traveler discovered that by sowing goodness, his journey became lighter and his heart grew joyful, Buddha said. So too can you find joy in the act of planting seeds. The woman bowed deeply. her spirit uplifted by the Buddha's wisdom. "Master," she said, "I will nurture kindness and compassion in every thought, word, and deed, and embrace the path of harmony." The assembly sat in reflective silence as Buddha concluded his teaching. "Remember," he said, "life's fairness is shaped by the harmony of one's actions and intentions. Sow wisely and embrace the journey. Embrace each step, for even mistakes are but stones in the river," he said. Together, we ascended the slope, leaving the river and its shards behind, yet carrying its lessons forward. The forest whispered with the echoes of truth, and the Buddha remained, a beacon of guidance for all who sought understanding. Another day, another teaching. As the Buddha sat under the vast shade of the Bodhi tree, surrounded by his disciples, a noble king approached him, adorned in fine robes and jewels. Yet his face betrayed an unease deep within. "Master," he began, his voice hesitant, "I have everything wealth and power can offer. Yet my heart is restless. Why does life feel empty?" The Buddha looked at the king with understanding and gestured for him to sit. "Tell me, Bimbasara," Buddha said, "what troubles your heart most deeply?" The king lowered his gaze and said, "I possess riches, lands, and influence, but no peace resides within me. And so, I moved forward, the lessons of the broken bowl etched into my soul, guiding each step." Another day, another lesson unfolded as the Buddha and I rested beside a lotus pond under the clear blue sky. The water shimmered gently, its surface adorned with blooming lotuses, rising from mud to reveal their radiant beauty. The Buddha observed the pond with a quiet intensity, his presence serene yet profoundly grounding. "To understand your restlessness, you must understand the nature of desire and its effects." He picked up a pebble and tossed it gently into a nearby stream. "See the ripples created by this pebble?" Buddha asked. "Desire is like the pebble. It disturbs the stillness of the mind." The king watched the ripples as they faded away. "But Master," he said, "how can I still the waters of my mind? How can I find peace?" Buddha gestured to the stream and said, "The waters calm naturally when no new disturbances occur. So too, must the mind be nurtured." He told a story of a merchant who gathered treasures but felt a growing weight on his spirit. The merchant believed his treasures would bring happiness, Buddha explained. Yet the burden of keeping them grew heavier each day. The disciples listened intently as the king pondered the tale. "Master," the king asked, "must I abandon all wealth to find peace? Must I relinquish everything I possess?" Buddha smiled and replied, "It is not the possession but the attachment that creates suffering. Let go of your desire, and peace shall follow." He motioned to a flock of birds soaring freely above. "See these birds?" Buddha asked. "They are not bound by the weight of possessions, and their flight is light and joyful. How do I begin again when the mud feels insurmountable?" he asked. The Buddha gestured toward the pond's edge, inviting the farmer to sit beside him as he continued speaking. "But greed today plants the seeds of future despair." The assembly murmured in agreement as Buddha spoke of the intricate threads of karma. "Karma," he said, "is the harmony or discord created by actions across lifetimes. It shapes one's journey in ways unseen." "But Master, the mud feels endless, and I fear I will sink further into despair," the farmer admitted. The Buddha reached for a fallen lotus petal, holding it gently in his hand, his gaze steady. "Let them be rooted in compassion and mindfulness." He gestured to the gathering and said, "Speak words that heal, perform deeds that uplift, and cultivate thoughts free of desire and attachment. These are your seeds." The disciples nodded, absorbing the teachings like sunlight nourishing their spirits. The farmer's shoulders seemed to lift slightly, the weight of his despair easing under the Buddha's words. "Master, how do I find the courage to rise when fear holds me back?" he asked. "Seeking wisdom, He recounted the story of a traveler carrying a golden sack, whose journey grew lighter when he chose to set it down. The traveler discovered that by releasing his burden, his steps became joyful and his heart free. Buddha said, "So too can you find freedom by letting go of the weight of desire." The king bowed deeply, a spark of understanding lighting his face. "Master," he said, "I will strive to cultivate wisdom and compassion, and release the attachments that weigh upon my spirit." The forest seemed to hum with truth as the Buddha concluded his teaching. "Do you see the setting sun?" he asked, his tone filled with quiet reverence. "Yes, Master. Its beauty is undeniable," the farmer replied, captivated by the brilliance of the moment. The king returned to his palace, his resolve strengthened. Ready to nurture a life of compassion and mindfulness, the stream flowed gently, undisturbed, as the Buddha remained, a beacon of light for all who sought the truth. His metaphor illuminated a truth the farmer had long overlooked, its simplicity profound and transformative. "Master, I will strive to rise like the lotus." Despite the depth of the mud, the farmer said, bowing deeply, "Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you." Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.